Hello, boys and girls. Steve here from The Varied Life, and today is another update on Johnny Somali. Yeah, idiot boy here who can't leave South Korea. This is an IRL streamer, so in real life streamer who his whole shtick is to do offensive things and break the law in different countries and often gets in trouble for it. Matter of fact, he came from Japan where he spent 3 months in prison there and was released and ended up coming to Korea where I'm retired. And unfortunately, this waste of DNA has got to the point of where he has offended the Korean people. He's called for the extermination of all Asian people. So, yeah. He's spread North Korean propaganda. He's disrupted businesses. He's assaulted people. There's all kinds of stuff that he's doing, and he plays the card. Oh, I didn't know. He's even issued death threats and terrorism threats of going through public places in Korea, transit systems, and so on and so forth, with a recording of "I have a bomb," which is not on his phone, but actually projected through a speaker that he's carrying, that he controls with his phone. And yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. And he knows what it means. And there's translation. And of course, he tried deleting those videos, but the interwebs are awesome and everything is kept for infinity. And so those things have been brought up. But I want to go over some things on how useless of a person this guy is. And the fact that he is still allowed to stream on, I think he's on Kick, and I think he's on Rumble. He's been banned from YouTube, and I think he still has Instagram and a couple others. But the fact that he has done so much egregious behavior and outright broken laws. He's done deepfake videos where he implies that he kisses underage children and so on and so forth. That's what's a thing here in Korea. You can't mess with the children here. They will go after you. Well, there's a number of things that he's ended up doing. So we're going to take a look at some of this stuff to kind of give you an update on what he's done and what has just recently happened. So with that said, let's start off with some of this stuff. As he calls, the newest cases are North Korean propaganda, National Security Agency. I mean, these are things that are illegal here in Korea to promote North Korea, propaganda, so on and so forth, and calling for the destruction of South Korea. Yeah, the boy's not playing with a full deck.
Shit, so shit turned to fall out in New Vegas. No, please, Kim Jong-un, press that button. Press.
Here's another video of Johnny expressing his admiration for China and why he'd never disrespect China like he's so willing to disrespect South Korea and Japan. Keep in mind, he did state in a video earlier this year that he plans to visit China this year.
You will see Somali in Beijing, in Shenzhen, and a Chinese megacity, Chongqing.
Although, I'd say the chances of that happening now are slim to none. I'd be surprised if China let him slip through the cracks.
I love China. I would never disrespect China the way I disrespect Korea and Japan. China.
It is amazing on some of the stuff that he ends up doing. Yeah, he's just an idiot. And so we're going to continue on here. And this kind of spurred when he went into a convenience store. He broke the law by drinking alcohol in a store. And then, of course, he played the fool. And so we'll take a look at some of this.
The history it represents.
So he ends up just really trashing the store there. Where's the part where he ends up doing that? He ends up fighting, playing a loudspeaker, drinking, and then not only did he do that, but he ground on a comfort woman statue. And in another video, what he ended up doing, taking his shirt off, putting baby oil, I guess he knows Diddy, and grinding and doing all sorts of inappropriate things. It's, for those of you who don't know, comfort women were the Korean women that were forced into prostitution, I think from like 1910 to 1945, somewhere around there. Japanese occupation, women were forced into prostitution. And so it's kind of like a Holocaust statue. It's on that same level. So for him to do that, He was kissing the statues, grinding on them, twerking on them, putting his cell phone camera underneath the dress of the statue, and just some really horrible things. What he ended up doing was just terrible. And then, here's there's the baby oil thing. And it's funny because he claimed he did an apology video, but the problem is that he claimed, like in this apology video, that he didn't know the history of the comfort women, which is absolutely untrue, because what he ended up doing is he talked at great length, and there's recordings of this talking about this, saying how the Korean women, the comfort women, were actually prostitutes and they volunteered to do that and they were rich and blah blah blah. So he knows what he's talking about. His apology was totally BS. So he goes on, and there's some fights and things like that. People have issued and told him, like this here. This Korean American guy in the United States says, "Hey, don't come back to the United States." There was another video of another gentleman where it ends up that supposedly the Korean mafia in the United States told him to don't come back because we're going to hunt you down. And again, he just played the fool, doing this stuff, interrupting businesses, and it's just amazing on what he ended up doing and what he continues to do. Trashing the store and, throwing noodles at people and things like that. It is just incredibly stupid on what he ends up doing. So anyway, but it continues on, and how he has been indicted in South Korea for these offensive antics and also the laws that he's broken. The commotion at a convenience store, that's actually a law where it's interfering with the business. And this guy is Ramsey Khalid Ishmael, 24, from Arizona. Arizona, I don't know. And Johnny's parents, where the hell are you? And what did you raise? I feel sorry. That would be your initial thought was, where are the parents? Why did they let him become this? But then you have to realize that people will do stupid on their own regardless of how they were raised. So, but it makes me wonder what does his parents think about this? And it's just absolutely crazy. Talks about how he'll face trial in all of this. Spokesman for the Southern District Prosecutor's Office said Somali will face trial and is also banned from leaving the country. So he had a video where he ended up saying, I've got my emergency visa and I'm going to get out of here. And it's like, no, that doesn't matter. So what happened is the Koreans took his passport, so he can't leave Korea. So he goes to the embassy, gets an emergency visa. So he obviously lied that he didn't lose his visa or his passport, excuse me. He lied about that. So maybe there's some U.S. charges he could face for filing a false report and for passports and so on and so forth. But yeah, he still can't leave Korea. Even with an emergency passport, if his name is flagged, he's not going to get out of Korea, regardless if he has an emergency passport, as we saw. So anyway, what Korea ended up doing is they investigated him, there's charges, and then they let him go on his own recognizance, maybe to give him enough rope to hang himself some more, but they didn't want to put up with his punk-ass antics. Which I think they should have kept him, but, it is what it is. So anyway, he's still in videos Somali posted on Instagram, appears to be drinking alcohol in the convenience store. He does all this stuff. And I'm just amazed that streaming agencies are still allowing this nut job to do the things that he does. And now it has come up where he is accused of violating the railway and anti-terrorism laws in South Korea. So there's Idiot Boy there. And what he ended up doing is the clip went viral. And this guy, Legal Mindset, which does videos, he's a lawyer, and he shows the charges that have been brought against him so far. And there's also new charges that are coming up. But if this one comes up, the messages include bomb threats in Korean. So, yeah, this is an anti-terrorism law, and what he ended up doing was playing a recording in the Korean language of saying, I have a bomb, with an external speaker in public railways, train stations, subways, things like that. So that can be some serious jail time. He did the same thing in Japan in 2023, and he spent 3 months in prison there, where he had messages containing bomb and rape threats in the subway. Again, he was there for 3 months in prison. Now, here's the other thing that we learned as the wife and I were watching the news, is that he was playing porn in public transportation, according to the Korean news clips that we saw. And the wife was telling me that, yeah, and that's around children. Again, he's just digging a hole for himself, and I really pray that the Korean government will nail this guy to the wall. This is the guy's legal mindset, and what he ends up with is sexual threats to children, up to 3 years in prison. These charges have already been charged. Business obstruction is up to 5 years. Again, he trashed the store and throwing noodles at people. Supporting the DPRK, which is People's Republic of North Korea, that's 5 years. So he has, done North Korean propaganda, played the North Korean national anthem. He has shown the North Korean flag. He's talked at length at how he wants North Korea to nuke South Korea. He just doesn't want to be there. Public indecency, up to a year. And these charges up here in green are YouTubers that filed charges of blackmail, of him blackmailing them, and that can be up to 10 years in prison. Insults for up to a year. Deepfakes, 5 years or more. Now, the deepfake videos are really interesting, because what he ended up doing was a deepfake video, which is illegal here in Korea, with supposedly an underage child. So even though the person that he was with, the Korean, wasn't an underage child, he deepfaked it like it was. That's illegal here in Korea. So, you add all these up, and we're looking at 20, 30 years. And now with the terrorism, that's another, that's 7 years. And how many incidents, the number of times that he's done that, will those be separate charges? So each instance that you issued bomb threats or played the national anthem of North Korea, is that going to be another 7 years? When you went on and explained about how you love North Korea and, things like that, and obviously supporting North Korea, is that another charge for another 7 years? We don't know. And it's very different here in Korea, because in the United States, if something like this happened, you would be getting a play-by-play action of what is going on. But unfortunately, we don't get that here. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. The propaganda, North Korean propaganda, risks 7 years in Korean jail for use of the North Korean propaganda. It's just absolutely crazy. And he did this. It would be one thing if he did it in a private or semi-private location, but what he did was play these things in the Korean national transit system, the public transportation system with tons of people. And again, the bomb threats was on public transportation. Legal mindset, the guy we just talked about, South Korea prohibits promoting or disseminating North Korean propaganda. So, it's very bad. It's not looking good, and he continues to get charges. Now, the question is, will Johnny Somali, will South Korea charge him and hold his feet to the fire? Or are they just going to say, this boy's an idiot, he's a waste of human DNA, and so we're just going to, slap on the wrist charges and then ban him from the country forever? If it was me, if I was king of the world for a day, I would have every country in the world ban Johnny Somali from going anywhere. So in other words, lifetime ban from going to any countries. And I think countries need to do this, because he's talking about going to China. Honestly, on the other side, I hope he goes to China. And if he does what he's done in Japan and here in Korea and in Israel, China doesn't take no crap. And I almost wish that Johnny would go to North Korea. that would be awesome, because we know what happens with minor infractions of people who go to North Korea, like the who's the auto guy or whatever, who he ended up stealing a poster of the leader up there in North Korea, and he prison and beaten up, and he came back to the United States, and he ended up so many medical problems that he ended up dying because of the torture and stuff that he received up there. So I'm really hoping Johnny takes a trip and goes to North Korea and tries to do this stuff. But yeah, all of this propaganda stuff is popping up. Another thing that he threatens more comfort women statue antics if TikTok bans him. So in other words, he did this whole thing with the comfort women, grinding on them, putting baby oil on them, pretending to hump them and twerk on them. And then he made an apology video, because here in Korea, if you make an apology video, that will be taken into consideration by the prosecution to have a little bit of leniency on you. But as soon as he did the apology video, then he comes and turns around and says the exact same stuff, and he promises to do more. And now he says that he's going to do more against the comfort women if TikTok bans him. So in other words, we're seeing kind of blackmail of TikTok. If you ban me, I'm just going to go crazy and do more stupid stuff. Again, why TikTok has still allowed him on their platform just boggles the imagination. And I just hope that everybody contacts TikTok and says, hey, you need to drop this guy because he is so offensive, playing porn in public areas in Korea, and the threats and the terrorism, all of this stuff. Then there's the fights and the assaults and the sexual harassment of women and children. This guy is not somebody that needs to be associated with any social media platform. So for TikTok, Rumble, Kick, and whatever other services that he is still allowed on, I say shame on those companies, because you are propagating and you are promoting this hate, and it's basically hate speech. He has called for the extermination of all Asians. He says that he is an agent of evil. He's evil. He wants race wars to start, and that's part of his shtick. And whether he means it or not, he's still putting it out there. And unfortunately, this is he's promising to do this again. It says there's a laundry list of criminal allegations. But yeah, he's done so much bad stuff. And it says he vows that if TikTok bans, he will go back to the comfort women.
I swear to God, if they ban this TikTok, I'll go back to the statue tomorrow. Wallahi, if they ban this TikTok, I'll go to the statue tomorrow.
No. You guys record this? Hello. Record this, please.
And people send him money.
I'm in Korea right now. Nigga, I don't give a fuck. I hope someone can eat.
The thing that gets me is that people support him. People send this idiot money on streaming platforms to let this happen. And it's up to 10 years. Of course, this is an older one. This is 13 November, and it's what, the 24th, 25th of November here in Korea. Interrupting with a business. Let's see if they got anything new off of here. He's kicked off the subway by officers, streaming and talking in chat. He took a subway, attended K-pop themed dance class. And inappropriate noises, which were, it's strange that they say inappropriate noises. He was playing porn. He continued to walk through exclaiming that he's George Floyd of Korea, and people told him to be quiet, and he's like, nah, it's just not going to happen.
Bro, guys, please, it's so early, guys. It's too fucking early for this shit. I don't know what's going on, sir. It's like ringtone is fucked up. Chinese virus.
$5.
The Chinese virus. Yo.
And here's the thing. So he plays this thing on public transportation. If you know anything about Korean transportation, when you're on a bus, when you're on a train, when you're on a subway, it is nice. It's relaxing. It's quiet. Nobody is loud like this idiot here. And to disrupt the peace that is on those subways, trains, buses, so on and so forth, is just really uncalled for. And the fact that he goes through, oh, it's my ringtone, I don't understand, what did I do, is just absolutely insane. So yeah, it doesn't look like throwing noodles, assault, disrupting a business. Again, that's a little JBL speaker that he's been playing. So it's not like he was playing the music or the porn or the terrorism threats of I have a bomb in public places off of his phone. He actually did it with an external speaker system that it just kind of echoes. Deep faking an AI girlfriend, possessing deep fakes of other individuals can result up to 7 years of jail time and a fine of $22,000. The alleged drug use, that could be 10 years. Of course, we haven't heard anything about that. I think that's been nixed. That isn't included in the list of current charges. Obstructing the business, that will be 5 years. And some assaults. He apologized. There was bounties. Korean YouTubers put bounties on him to find out his location, and that's where he got his butt kicked. The band Kick Streamer has also been banned from leaving the country. Charged with assault, narcotics use, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. Yeah, it's, this guy is just... He's just a total idiot. And unfortunately, this is what we have as a representation of an American citizen. And unfortunately, even though his moniker is Johnny Somali, he's not a Somali. He's actually Ethiopian from what I've seen in the research that I've done. And coming from Arizona, he's an American citizen. And I just feel sorry for his parents. I've been searching and looking and can't find anything on his parents. So maybe somebody will look this up. But I mean, what do you do with a child like this who has done so much bad and has so much hate and evil in their heart that disregards the rights and the life, the liberties of people around him? What do you do with a child like that? Back in my day, I mean, I'm almost 60 years old. If I acted like he did, I would not be around today. My dad would take me behind the woodshed and bury me. Not just whoop my ass. He would bury me, and then it'd be, hey, where's your son, Steve? Oh, he, went to military school, and he was never heard from again. That would be, what you would be facing. But unfortunately, today, we have kids and we have young people that will push the buttons of everybody and push the bounds of legal decency and respect and do these things just to get clout, just to get clicks and views, just to get money. And the problem is that he has even said on camera in one of his videos as he was streaming is that he needs to more content because he lost content because YouTube banned him. I think he's got a backup channel, but I think they totally banned him. And so he's lost that revenue. So now he's losing revenue. So now he has to push the envelope even further so we can expect some more antics. But now, and as of a couple nights ago, was yesterday, day before, we saw on the Korean news, my wife and I, that he has been detained for the charges. So the wheels of justice are turning. It'll be interesting to see what charges he is going to be faced with. And especially, I mean, this seems like a slam dunk. If it was me, if I was in charge of Korea, I would say charge him with everything, give him the max sentencing on every single charge, even if you just do one count of disruption of a business, even if you just do one count of assault, one count of insults, one count of blackmail, one count of North Korean propaganda, one count of inappropriate, deep fake minor whoozy stuff, all of that stuff, you're still looking at double-digit prison time. 15, 20, somebody added up and it says like 31 years. But even if you did just one count of everything, we're looking at, over 10 years in prison. And Korean prison is not something that you want to be because it is just... the boy needs help. And I've worked in prisons, and the interesting thing is that somebody like him who disrespects the Korean culture and the Korean people are awesome. Of course, I'm retired here. I have, and I just appreciate it because they have a respect for elders. They have respect for people as a whole. They work hard. Just great people. But when you get somebody like this, they take great offense to that. National pride is huge here in Korea. So if he goes to a Korean prison, it's not like he's going to be in PC. He's not going to be in protective custody. And imagine 10, 15, 17, 20 years in a Korean prison. Yeah, you're not going to be in a cell all by yourself. That would just not work out well. They just don't do that here. So the interesting thing is that in prison, they would know who he was, and they would extract prison justice on him, because even though people in prison are in prison for doing wrong things, they really would hate somebody like Johnny Somali, who has disrespected comfort women and so on and so forth, and innocent people. There's a hierarchy of crimes. And Johnny is kind of like the lowest of the low right now, especially since he has supported or supposedly had, deep fake crimes of minors and the things that he's done with children. There is a sense of moral or honor among thieves when it comes to inmates, not only in the United States, but here in Korea and around the world. So if he goes to prison, Johnny is going to get the wrong end of the stick. And unfortunately, he's been able to say, oh, well, and he goes, I don't know what I did. And, oh, I don't know why he attacked me and blah, 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 whatever. He'll be in prison and there won't be any place to hide. And that's going to be the problem, is that if he goes to prison, it's going to be huge. Now, with my experience of being in Korea, I'm working on just over 14 years. I did a lot of time in Korea as a military service member, and now I have retired here. Currently, I have 2 years in Korea as of the making of this video. But back when I was in the military, I've seen some American service members who were in Korean prisons. We had to deliver care packages and, kind of like essentials like toothbrush, toothpaste, the little hygiene items. And the guys that were in prison, there was one guy that was in for rape and assault, and another guy was for smuggling something, and somebody was something else, usually severe crimes. But those guys were telling me that, yeah, Korean prison is no joke. And it's something that one guy, he's never going to get out ever. So he will die there. But it's a meager existence. It's not fun. And I worked in the Colorado Department of Corrections. I've worked in 2 prisons. I've worked at Fremont Correctional Facility and also Territorial, which is the oldest prison in Colorado. It was a prison before Colorado became a state. And then, of course, CSP, which is the max state prison there. That is a terrible place. I've done some tours in there. The worst of the worst. People like Johnny would not do well in prison. And so I don't think he'd do well in prison in the United States. And Colorado prisons are not that bad compared to other prisons in the United States, like California or Angola in Louisiana and things like that, places in Texas. Johnny would not do well. And I think in a Korean prison, Johnny's not going to do well at all. But I could imagine the problems that he would cause while he's there. But again, you made your bed. It's time to lie in it. And I pray. I don't wish ill will on anybody, but I don't want him to escape the consequences of his unlawful actions. And so I really hope, especially since he's lied. Johnny has even said that, you know what, the Korean judges, he's kind of, bullied them and said, hey, I'm going to be scot-free. I'm going to be the O.J. Simpson of Korea because nothing's going to stick and they're going to let me go. And so he's banking that it will be a slap on the wrist. But yeah, he's just going to, and especially if he does this North Korean propaganda, which could be 7 years on top of the other stuff, yeah, you're looking at double-digit years in prison. The problem is prison is supposed to be a rehabilitative type of thing to get you to sit back and contemplate and say, yeah, what I did was extremely stupid. I'm not going to do it again. Johnny Somali will not come to that enlightenment. He spent 3 months in prison in Japan, and obviously it didn't change his thinking because he came to Korea and immediately does the same thing. He's been banned from Japan for 5 years, and in the Korean videos that he makes, he tries to, cozy up to Japan by saying, hey, I did what you didn't do during the occupation of Korea. You should welcome me back with open arms. The boy's an idiot. He is an absolute idiot. So this is going to be really interesting to see how Johnny Somali comes and what the Korean government does. I would say charge him with everything, have him serve the max sentence for everything that he can, and then after he gets out, and if he lives that long, then ban him for life from Korea. And I think, like I said, if I was king for a day of the world, every country would ban Johnny Somali so that he could not travel overseas. And then he would be left in the United States to do this stupid stuff. And yeah, karma would find him. I think karma's going to find him regardless. He's going to go to a country where people don't care. He says the next place that he's going to go is China. And with the increased tensions of China and the United States, it could be that, even in the current or the upcoming administration, Johnny might be such a POS that if he ends up getting in trouble in China, maybe the next administration, the Trump people and whatever, probably wouldn't go to bat for him. I wouldn't, because you made your bed, it's time for you to lie in it. And I'd just be like, well, hey, it is what it is. It's different if you're charged with a crime that you didn't know that you did. It's very rare that happens. And even if you did commit the crime, I mean, again, it depends on the individual. But with his background and the BS that Johnny has done, it's just not going to go well. Absolutely crazy. And again, now he's threatening TikTok and says, well, if you ban me, I'm just going to do more crazy, stupid stuff, which is weird because he got his ass beat in Korea by Korean streamers and YouTubers there because of what he did to the comfort statue women. So it's kind of like touching the stove and saying, damn, that's hot, and then touching the stove again and again and again. The boy's elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. He's not running on all four cylinders. He's a number of cans short of a six-pack. And, eventually he's going to run into somebody that doesn't give a F. They're not going to care. And he's already seen a little taste of that, where some Koreans have beat him up, and they don't care that they go to jail. It's like, the nationality and the pride that they have for Korea overrides that, because they see this as somebody who's extremely stupid and needs to learn a lesson. The problem is Johnny's not going to learn a lesson. He's going to keep doing this until karma rears its ugly head like a giant sea monster and squashes him. So, yeah, it's going to be absolutely crazy on what we see with Johnny Somali. And I hope he gets the max amount of time. If you were king for a day in Korea or even the world, would you hold his feet to the fire? Would you give him the max sentences? Or would you give him a little bit of leniency and mercy? Would you just say, just kick him out of the country, let somebody else deal with him? Or something in between? Put that in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. And as this continues on, I'll let you know when I find out, because I'm retired and I live here in Korea. So with that being said, we'll let it go and just watch this story unfold of Johnny Somali, the idiot boy. Yeah, in Korea. I don't know. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, buy me a coffee, link description box down below. If you do, you don't, doesn't really matter. But leave me a comment on what you think should happen to Johnny Somali if you were king for a day. All right, peace.